Tonight's dual meet is being broadcast live on ETV's YouTube channel. We'd love to thank ETV and the ETV volunteers for making this happen so that everybody that is not here is able to participate with us. We also would like to thank our sponsors, who I'll mention later, and all the volunteers working tonight to make all of this possible. Tonight, we continue our season against our guests, the Burnsville Blaze. The Blaze are coached by Ben Mauser, Chris Schoonwell, Daniel Rojas, and Eric Tester. The Blaze captains are Xander Boyko, Calvin Choi, and Nolan Johnson. Let's give our guests a warm welcome of applause. And now let me introduce your hometown team, the Eagan Wildcats. The Wildcats are coached by Chris Morgan, Tyler Husko, and our dive coach, Amy Carlson. The Wildcat captains are seniors Daban Chong, Sam Johnson, Kuldeep Ratchabatooni, and Miguel San Jose. Your officials for tonight are Ann Sims and Kyle Mace. Now, please stand as you're able and remove your caps as we play the national anthem. And tonight's anthem is sung by our own Lucas Hanna.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us here on ETV. My name is Jonathan Chambers, and we are starting off strong with our meet with the Eagan Wildcats hosting the Burnsville Blaze. It is looking to be a fun meet tonight, as it is rather cold outside, but it's a nice balmy 80 degrees here on the pool deck. Looks like the swimmers from both sides are getting ready for this first 200 medley relay, and final words are given by the coaches as little pieces of advice for this swim coming up ahead. The Eagan's coming off their win from last week against Rosemont in a very tightly contested swim meet, and the last meet for Burnsville. They're coming back. They're going to try to rebound tonight as they face one of the top 5 seeds in the nation, Lakeville South, in a meet which resulted in a Lakeville South victory. But tonight's looking to be a fun, competitive event for the South Suburban Conference. So currently the swimmers are heading up to the blocks. For this first event, it looks to be the JV 200 medley relay. For those of you that are not as familiar with the medley relay, so unlike the individual medley that goes butterfly, backstroke, breaststroke, freestyle, the medley relay is backstroke, breaststroke, butterfly, freestyle. So our swimmers will be starting in the pool for this event. And for the JV, it looks that we don't have any Burnsville relays here, so it is going to be all 5 lanes as Eagan Wildcats. However, going forward for those varsity events, lanes 1, 3, and 5, with 1 being the closest to us, is going to be Wildcats lanes, and then the Burnsville Blaze is going to be in 2, 4, and 6. All right, looks like the officials are ready. Let's get this party started, shall we? And we're off to a good start with lane 1 for backstroke, Henry Level. Lane 2, Josiah Schaufhausen. Lane 3, Miguel San Jose. Lane 4, Brad Simpson. And lane 5, Gavin Yang. Looks like lane 2 and lane 3 are off to a good start, taking that lead quite early on as we head into the second length. With not too far behind lane 4 and lane 5, with lane 1 struggling a little bit, but lane 2 is the first one off, with Kuldeep Rachabatuni, and lane 3, not too far behind, Liam Weefering. Lane 4, we got William Nguyen. Lane 5, we have Pranav Antavilu, and lane 1 with Zachary Browning. Lane 2 and lane 3 look to be neck and neck here. Lane 4 not too far behind, only about a body length, but that can easily be caught up in the next 2 50s. Neck and neck going into the third leg, we have lane 2 with Mason Deitering. Lane 3 is Derek Bango. Not too far behind lane 4, we have Aiden Smith swimming butterfly with lane 5, Riley McRoberts. And jumping in lane 1 right now, we have Isaac Erickson, a freshman for the Wildcats. But not too far behind, lane 3 having a dominant butterfly, and going into the final leg with Braden Hagenbarth. And then lane 2 and lane 4 are pretty close here. Lane 2 being Vidan Shrestha, and lane 4, Louis Dequetois. And then we got lane 5 that just jumped in recently, Liam Adel. And now with the final 50 in lane 1, Kai Duckett. And it looks like we got the finishers here. Lane 3 taking that first place with a 150.39, not too far behind, with 2 154s from lane 2 and lane 4 respectively, before finishing it off with lane 5 at a 159.54. Kai bringing in a good final 25 here, giving it all he's got. And it looks like he's going to end pretty close to about a 2:21.22. So this now brings us on to the varsity. So unlike a lot of events where it's just varsity, just JV, etc., and things like football or basketball, swimming is a back and forth between the JV and the varsity. So this is now the varsity. These are where the points really matter for those swimmers out there. In lane 1, we have Ethan Schumacher. Lane 2, Braden Mohair. In lane 3, you got Nolan Luther. Lane 4, you got Oliver. And then in lane 5, you got John. Seems pretty even going into that first 25, with lane 5 just popping up first, but they're all rather neck and neck. Looks like lane 4 is trying to take a little bit of an advantage here, getting probably about a quarter of a body length ahead of the rest of the pack going into the breaststroke. With lane 4, we have Calvin Choi, and not too far behind, we have lane 3 and lane 5, which are Aben Binkley in lane 3 and McGavin Nee in lane 5. In lane 1, we have Michael Boom, and lane 2, trailing behind just a little bit, we got Jackson Sundquist. Lane 4 really pulling ahead here with multiple body lengths ahead, so we'll have to see if the Wildcats can catch up some ground on the next 2 50s. But in we go, lane 4 with Xander rocking the butterfly. Lane 5 actually topping out lane 3, but very close. So we have lane 5 with Ian Chong, and then lane 3 with Isaac Krebs. Lane 1 just a couple body lengths behind from that, Lucas Hanna. Heading into that final 50 for Burnsville, we have lane 4 with Logan Deneen. And then lane 3 and lane 5, respectively, is Bergen Rolling and Tyler Burby. So at this point, it looks like the Burnsville Blaze are going to get that top spot for this relay, as second and third are going to be securely dominated by the Wildcats. Lane 1, we have Preston Dunn finishing up for the freestyle, and for the butterfly in lane 2, we have Roshan Batum. And there we go. When we go for the final 50 for lane 2, we have Seamus Booz. And looking at those times, it looks like it's going to be a 1 for Burnsville and then a 2 and 3 for our Eagan Wildcats. So that means that Burnsville is actually going to lead us off here with an 8-6 lead going into the 200-yard freestyle. A good strong finish here from lane 2, and that closes out our 200 medley relay. Close meet so far, but we'll see what happens as we have only just begun this competition tonight. So now we're heading on to the 200-yard freestyle junior varsity. So once again, this is going to be an all Eagan event. So we have lanes 1, lane 3, and lane 5 occupied by the Wildcats. So we got in lane 1, William Nguyen, lane 3, Braden Hagenbarth, and lane 5, Liam Weifring. So as of now, only Liam has a seed time going into this. So for the other two, this is going to be their first swim for the Eagan Wildcats this season in the 200-yard freestyle. And we'll see a pretty good performance here. Lane 3 getting a good, starting off strong with the 25.77, not too far behind lane 5 and lane 1 with 26s and 27s respectively, as we head into the third length of 8. So talking about the Eagan Wildcats, in the last couple weeks they've had some very dominant performances, but also some very close calls, as Rosemont was one of their last main dual meets here in the conference. I talked about this just a little bit earlier, but that was a very close meet. Rosemont always steps up when they face off against the Wildcats, and it is always a classic rivalry between the two District 196 schools. And it ended with a 10-point margin coming down to the final 400 freestyle relay. I happened to be there, and it was a very intense competition. You could see the passion from both sides, and overall, it's a great rivalry. But also for Burnsville, they came across, their last meet was Lakeville South, and as I mentioned earlier, Lakeville South is a very strong opponent, having beat out Eagan earlier in the season by 2 points. But Burnsville is looking to make a redemption here today with some good swims against Eagan. Heading into the third 50 here, it looks like lane 3 has a little bit of a lead, probably about 1.5 body lengths ahead of lane 5, and lane 1 is trailing just a little bit behind. Oh, and excuse me, that was not the third 50, my apologies, that was the final 50. And it looks like a good swim, 156.73 for lane 3, followed by a 158.96 in lane 5, and lane 1 getting a 2:05. Very good swims for JV. I'm excited to see what's going on here for our 200 freestyle varsity. So we're just quieting down for the start here. Looks like the officials are ready. Excellent start by lane 3 and lane 5, but here are the swimmers for this event. We got lane 1, Philip Kojin. Lane 2, Wyatt Hull for Burnsville. Lane 3, Miguel San Jose. Lane 4, Arnold Sweet. Lane 5, Derek Bango. And lane 6, Charles Burns for Burnsville. Very dominant performance so far. Just a 50 in from Miguel and Derek, hitting that 24.05 in the first 50. I like to see how the next 3 50s go and see if they can keep up that pace. Lane 1 and lane 2 having a battle here as they head into the wall, both around 36 seconds. Looks like maybe lane 2 didn't hit the pad hard enough, but I was gonna say that's gonna be a hotly contested race right there. Lane 4 and lane 6 struggling a little bit here, but Miguel San Jose dominating that second 50 with a 26.70. That is an extremely fast first 100, around 51 to 52 seconds. And let's see what happens here in the next 100. Looks like lane 1 and lane 2 are still having a quite even race. It looks like Burnsville's trailing just a little bit on that one, but it's still too early to decide who is going to win that race, as lane 4 and lane 6 are still just slightly behind the 1 and 2, get closer to us. And for some of the racers here, it looks like it's their final 25 yards. And it looks like it's going to be a clear victory for the Wildcats, at least securing that 1 and 2 spot with lane 3 and lane 5. And we will soon see what's going to happen there for lane 1 and 2. Lane 1 securing that 150.31, and Derek Bango getting a 154.79. Solid start. It seems to be a good competition between the two, as they have both been swimming together for a very long time. Both seniors here, and lane 2 finishes it off. Excuse me. Lane 2 has one more 50. Looks like they miscounted a little bit there, allowing some time for lane 1 to catch up. And lane 4 going into their final 50 right now. It seems that Phillip is burning out a little bit in lane 1, as lane 2, Wyatt is keeping up the solid pace that they've had through most of the 200, and it looks like they're going to secure that 3rd place position. So if everything holds how it is, it's going to be a 1-2-4 for the Wildcats. That's going to be giving them about 11 to 12 points. I'll tally it up in just a moment. But lane 2 just came in with a 3:02.07, which seems to be a new personal best, as their seed time coming into this was a 3:03.70. And then for lane 4, just finishing up with a 3:16.80, clinching that 5th place. So with this event about to conclude, it looks like the Wildcats have taken the lead from the Burnsville Blaze, giving Eagan an 18-12 lead over Burnsville. And lane 6, Charles Burns, finishes off, the 7th grader, getting that 3:52.95. So it looks like we're skipping the 200 IM junior varsity. I'm personally not a fan of the junior varsity. I had to swim plenty of times in the past here at this very pool, but it looks like the varsity is ready to step up for the challenge. Good streamlines in, but let's see who our swimmers are for this event. We got lane 1, Michael Boone. Lane 2, Max Rocca. Lane 3, Josiah Schaffhausen. Lane 4, Calvin Choi. Lane 5, Pranav Antivilu, and then lane 6, Marty Pritchard. So far, lane 3 is taking a aggressive start in the butterfly with a 30-90 for that split, with lane 4, lane 5, and lane 1 all neck and neck, getting about 33 to 34 seconds, with lane 6 not too far behind. Good flip turn from Josiah there, and a good streamline, pulling him even further ahead. Let's see how that breaststroke treats him, though. With lane 4 and lane 5 still battling it out, but it looks like lane 5 is starting to get the edge over Calvin here. With lane 1 making it truly a battle. Into the backstroke we go with lane 4, 5, and lane 1. Lane 2 and lane 6 not too far behind, just heading into the breaststroke right now. This is the time for Burnsville to catch up and try to gain some ground here on the Wildcats. It looks like Josiah does have this in hand, though, as he is over 12 and a half yards ahead of the rest of the competition going into the freestyle in just a moment. But lane 4 looks like they're catching just a tiny bit on Pranav over in lane 5. So earlier I was talking to the coaches from both sides just to get an idea of what the game plan is going to be tonight. And for the Wildcats, they were looking to act very aggressively in the first few events, get out and get a good lead early on, but still have it be a fun competition. I know both of the coaches talked before the meet and set up good competition between the two sides. So that's why you see lanes like lane 4 and lane 5 really battling it out here as they're going into the final 25, just as lane 3 finishes with a 2:19.41, very good performance. But for Burnsville, though, it's a really young team here. They have, as we've seen in the meet program, there's going to be a lot of swimmers that are 7th, 8th, and even 9th graders, only getting 3 seniors this year. So a very young team looking to build. And it looks like lane 4 and lane 5, they came in with a 2:36.75 for Pranav, and lane 4, Calvin, getting that 2:37.68. Not too far behind lane 2 and lane 6. So with another 1, 2, 4, let me calculate up those points real quick for both sides. As it seems that it's not showing up on the board as of yet, but I will be here to help you out with that score at this time. So it looks like it's 30-16 according to my math. We might be off by maybe 1 or 2 points at most, but this will be pretty close to what we're seeing here so far. And it looks like we do have one heat of junior varsity. This is 5 Wildcats and 1 Burnsville swimmer. So you are going to see lanes 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6 occupied by the Wildcats, with lane 4 still home to the Blaze. Don't blink or else you'll miss it. It is the 50 freestyle for the JV. Lane 1, we have Ian Chong. Lane 2, we have Ezra Jarosek. Lane 5, we have Mason Dietering, Lane 4, Thomas Pritchard. Lane 5, Kuldeep Racha Batuni. And then lane 6, Jay. Close race here between 1, 3, and 5. Lane 2 trailing not too far behind. It looks like the outside lane 1, Ian Chong getting that 26.44 to clinch that victory, not too far behind lane 3 and lane 5, followed by lane 2. And it looks like lane 4 just finished up, around 36 seconds, with lane 6 topping out at 39.30. This brings us into the 50-yard freestyle varsity. And this will be our last event before diving, but it is always a thrill to watch these swimmers duke it out in this sprint event. And in we go. If you thought that last event was fast, this one will be a little bit faster with the varsity, as we have lane 1, Isaac Erickson, lane 2, Logan Deneen, lane 3, Isaac Krebs, lane 4, Oliver Deneen, lane 5, Lucas Hanna, and then lane 6, Braden Moyer. Lane 4 with a strong start. This might be a 1-2 for the Blaze, and it is, with lane 4 getting a 25.20, not too far behind lane 2, then lane 3, then lane 5, followed by lane 1, and then lane 6. So for your Wildcats, that's going to be a 3-4-5. That is going to hurt them a little bit, as that is only about 6 points. So it's going to be a 10-6 split there for the Blaze, bringing them closer to the Wildcats. So at this point, we're going to have a slight intermission here as we do let the divers warm up for their 6 rounds of diving, and for the timers and everyone to move about to get ready for the diving competition. And I'll be back with you and after the diving break, and we'll be happy to resume swimming then. Thank you.
and Oz. I guess I can go through the lineup for tonight's diving. We'll start off with Charles from Burnsville. Second will be Seamus from Burnsville. Lane three, excuse me. Third for Eagan will be Evan. Fourth will be Ethan. Fifth will be Sam for Eagan. Sixth will be Stone for Eagan. Seventh will be Xander from Burnsville. And eighth we'll have from Owen from Eagan. They'll be diving. I keep saying swim. They're diving. Some of them swim too. What do you know? They'll be diving 6 dives tonight. So you get to see 48 dives and a wide variety of range and skill and a whole bunch of stuff that I wouldn't even think of doing. All right, let's get this started. Up first from Burnsville is Charles. He'll be diving a 101A to forward dive, straight, 1.4. And we have a no dive. Up next is Seamus for Burnsville. 101C, forward dive, tuck, 1.2. Okay, making sure our scoring's working here. Okay, yes, we have Seamus, 101C, forward dive, tuck, 1.4 or 1.2. And we have scores of 3.0, 3.0, 3.0. Up next is Evan for Eagan. 102C, forward, 1 somersault, tuck, 1.4. And his scores are 2.0, 2.0, 2.0. Up next is Ethan for Eagan. 103C, forward, 1.5 somersault, tuck, 1.6. And we have scores of 4.5, 4.5, 4. Up next is Sam. 103B, forward, 1.5 somersault, pike, 1.7. And his scores are 5.5, 5, and 4.5. Up next, Stone for Eagan. 103B, forward 1.5 somersault, pike, 1.7. And we have scores of 7.5, 6.5, 7.5. Up next, Xander from Burnsville. 103B, forward 1.5 somersault, pike, 1.7. And we have scores of 5, 6, 6. And to finish off round 1 is Owen. 103B, forward 1.5 somersault, pike, 1.7. Score 7.5, 8, 7.5. Starting round 2 is Charles. 102C, forward 1 somersault, tuck, 1.4. And we have scores of 3, 3, and 2.5. Up next, Seamus. 102C, forward 1 somersault, tuck, 1.4. And the scores are 3.5, 4, 4. Up next, Evan. 103C, forward 1.5 somersault, tuck, 1.6. And we have scores of 1, 1, and 1. Up next, Ethan. 104C, forward 2 somersaults, tuck, 2.2. Scores of 4.5, 4.5, and 4. Up next, Sam. 104C, forward 2 somersaults, tuck, 2.2. And his scores are 6, 5.5, 6. Up next, Stone, 105B, forward 2.5 somersaults, pike, 2.6. And his scores are 7, 6.5, 6.5. Up next, Xander, 104C, forward 2 somersault, tuck, 2.2. And his scores are 5.5, 5.5, 6. Rounding off round 2 is Owen, 105B, forward 2.5 somersault, pike, 2.6. And his scores are 7.5, 7.5, and 6.5. Starting round 3 is Charles, 401C, inward dive, tuck, 1.4. His scores are 3, 3, 4. Up next, Seamus, 201A, back dive, straight, 1.7. And his scores are 3, 3, 3. Up next, Evan, 301A, reverse dive, straight, 1.8. And we have scores of 4, 3, and 4. Up next, Ethan, 401C, inward dive, tuck, 1.4. And his scores are 5.5, 4.5, and a 5. Up next, Sam, 203C, back, 1.5 somersault, tuck, 2.0. And his scores are 4.5, 4, 4. Up next, Stone, 305C, reverse 2.5 somersault, tuck, 3.0. And his scores are 3.5, 3.5, and 3.5. Up next, Xander, 204C, back, 2 somersault, tuck, 2.0. And his scores are 4.5, 4.5, and 5. Rounding off round 3, Owen, 403B, inward, 1.5 somersault, pike, 2.4. And his scores are 8, 7.5, 7.0. Starting off round 4 is Charles, 201A, back dive, straight, 1.7. And we have scores of 2, 2, and 2. Up next is Seamus, a 5211A, back dive, 1/2 twist, straight, 1.8. And that's a no dive. So up next we have Evan, 401C, inward dive, tuck, 1.4. Hold on 1 second, please. Just 1 second while we clear up a scoring conflict here. I could fill in time and sing for you, but you'd all be running for the gates, so just give us a minute here, we'll get this cleared up. And we'll continue on with Eagan. Evan, somebody. All right, you gotta love technology. We have it figured out now. And up next here is Evan. Thank you for waiting patiently. With a 401C, inward dive, tuck, 1.4. Scores a 3.5, 4. Up next, Ethan, 202C, back, 1 somersault, tuck, 1.5. And his scores are 5.5, 5.5, and 5.5. Up next is Sam, 401B, inward dive, pike, 1.5. And we have scores of 5, 4.5, 4.5. Up next is Stone, 403B, inward, 1.5 somersault, pike, 2.4. And his scores are 8.5, 7, 7.5. Up next, Xander, 403C, inward, 1.5 somersault, tuck, 2.2. And we have scores of 4.5, 4, 4. Rounding off round 4 is Owen, a 51.34D. Forward, 1.5 somersault, 2 twist, free, 2.6. We have scores of 7.5, 9, 8.5. All right, starting round 5 is Seamus. 202C, back, 1 somersault, tuck, 1.5. Okay, one more quick timeout here. All right, we're going to switch over to manual scoring. It's fail safe. And leading off round 5 is Seamus. The 202C, a back, 1 somersault, tuck, 1.5. And we have scores of 4.5, 3.5, 2.5. Up next is Evan. 402C, inward, 1 somersault, tuck, 1.6. And his scores are 2, 2, and 2. Up next is Ethan, 52-23D, back, 1 somersault, 1.5 twist, free, 2.3. We have scores of 4, 4.5, and 5. Up next is Sam, 403C, inward, 1.5 somersault, tuck, 2.2. We have scores of 5, 4.5, and a 5. Up next is Stone, 405C, inward, 2.5 somersault, tuck, 3.1. And his scores are 4.5, 5, 5. Xander, 52-23D, back, 1 somersault, 1.5 twist, free, 2.3. We have scores of 5.5, 5, and 5. Finishing round 5 is Owen, 305C, reverse, 2.5 somersault, tuck, 3.0. And we have scores of 4.5, 5, and 4.5. Starting round 6 is Evan. 201A, back dive, straight, 1.7. (201A), back dive, straight, 1.7. We have scores of 4.5, 4.5, 3.5. Up next, Ethan, 51.24D, forward 1 somersault, 2 twists, free, 2.3. And we have scores of 3, 4, and 4. Up next is Sam, 302C, reverse 1 somersault, tuck. We have scores of 5.5, 5.5, 5. Up next is Stone, 52.33D, back 1.5 somersault, 1.5 twist, free, 2.5. And his scores are 6, 6, 5.5. Up next is Xander, 52.31D, back 1.5 somersault, 1/2 twist, free, 2.1. And his scores are 5, 5, 4.5. And to finish off the diving for tonight is Owen, 53.35D, reverse 1.5 somersault, 2.5 twists, free, 3.0. And we have scores of 7, 7, and 7.5. So that concludes the diving portion of tonight's meet. We'll have scores for you in a little bit. We're going to have a 10-minute open pool warm-up for the next set of events. We'll be back in about 10 minutes.
Alrighty, we still have a few minutes left of the intermission where our swimmers are warming up, but I'm back just to talk a little bit more about the meet itself and a few other stories as well as we wait for the next event, which would be the 100 butterfly. So overall, that was a really fun performance from all the divers here today. Owen, Kip, and Stone were doing very well on the boards. I was talking to Kip a little bit after the diving performance. He was pretty happy with it except for one of his dives, but he was very close from breaking his current record, which by about 5 or 6 points. So certainly by next week for True Team State, which Eagan is heading to, he'll hope to have an even better performance at the University of Minnesota Aquatic Center. But overall, the Burnsville High School divers also did fairly well. They are a very young team. I was talking to the Burnsville diving coach earlier on, and he is a very nice guy. And he was talking, just saying that a lot of their dives are relatively new. It's, as I said, it's a very young team, so they have 2 10th graders and a 7th grader for their divers. So still many years of training ahead to perfect those dives that they're just starting out with right now, such as things like the 403B and the 403C. But
yeah, okay, we've got the pool being cleared now. Kind of our 1-minute warning to get the meet going again. But in the meantime, we do have some diving scores for you when you're ready. Starting off with the JV. In 4th place, we have Charles from Burnsville with a score of 36.1. In 3rd place for JV, we have Seamus from Burnsville with a score of 71.75. In 2nd place JV, we have Evan from Eagan with a score of 79.95. And 1st place for JV for Eagan was Ethan with a score of 151.5. Let's give him a hand. And now for the varsity. In 4th place for Eagan was Sam Johnson, the score 167.5. In 3rd place was Xander from Burnsville with a score of 187.9. In 2nd place for Eagan was Stone with a score of 263.95. And that leaves one young man left. For Eagan, Owen Kip, 1st place. Did he break it again? Did he not? Yes, he broke the pool record again with a score of 320.5. Congratulations, Owen. That's 2 times this season already. We can't even keep the scoreboard correct yet. So congratulations to all the divers. Thanks for the effort and all the time you put into diving. We also have a update as far as the meet goes. Right now we have a score of Eagan 46, Burnsville 31. So we're going to start the meet up again with event number 11, the boys 100-yard butterfly, junior varsity. And again, please,
alrighty, so I stand corrected. I am sorry about that. I made a mistake earlier, but it looks like Kip got his record, so he's shattering that for the 2nd time this season. So looking at the 100 butterfly junior varsity, I remember swimming this a few times, not my favorite, but here we are nonetheless. Lane 1, we got Ezra Jarosik. Lane 3, Derek Bango, and then lane 5, Kai Duckett. So returning back to the diving, it is rather impressive that he's broken his record twice here at this pool, but has also broken the records at Lakeville South and at Duluth when they did their travel trip up there not too long ago. But bringing us back down to the pool, you'll see that Derek Bango, very dominant performance in lane 3 going into that final turn, not too far behind lane 5 and lane 1. And I will say this will be a Wildcat win. Then again, there aren't any Burnsville swimmers in this, so it's fairly certain that this JV heat's going to be a Wildcat victory, with Derek getting a 56.22, a very impressive performance. Not too far behind lane 5 with a 1 minute, 0.05, and lane 1 with a 101.36. this moves us on to I'm sorry, I've been looking at the wrong sheet. So in that one, that was Brad Simpson in lane 1, Miguel San Jose in lane 3, and Louis Dequetois in lane 5. My apologies, I was looking at a different event. However, this does bring us into the 100-yard butterfly varsity. So now we have Burnsville swimmers back in the fray with lane 1, Vidan Shrestha, lane 2, Arnold Sweet, lane 3, Mason Dietering, lane 4, Wyatt Hull, and lane 5, Braden Hagenbarth. Very strong performance from lane 5. Braden getting out early on with a very good butterfly, seeing around a 26.89 first 50 split. That is fantastic. Heading into the wall right now, we got lane 4 in the 4th spot, and lane 2 still a little bit behind, but there's plenty of race to go. Pretty even race from lane 3 and lane 5 here. Lane 5 about 1 body length ahead, with lane 1 not too far behind, just hitting the wall as we speak. And this will look to be a 1-2-3 for the Eagan Wildcats, which will get them 13 points for this event. That will pull them much further ahead, but we're only halfway through the meet, so anything can happen. Anything can happen here. A nice solid time from Vidan, the 1:11.83. But we do have lane 5 breaking that 1 minute barrier. That is always a rewarding feat, so to speak, for any swimmer, regardless of the event, to break times like 2 minutes in the 200 freestyle, 1 minute when you're younger in the 100 freestyle, or even in this case, the 100 fly, breaking that 1 minute mark with a 59. It's always satisfying. I remember my first time breaking 1 minute in the 100 backstroke, and I was ecstatic. So I definitely feel for the swimmers down there. And lane 2, Arnold just finishing up here, keeping around a 154.70 to finish off the 100 butterfly. A good show of sportsmanship there from Mason in lane 3.
And event number 13, the boys 100-yard freestyle.
So this brings us to the 100 freestyle. This, just like the 50 freestyle, is going to be a very fast sprint, but just double the distance. Seems that the officials didn't saw something they didn't like when everybody went down that first time, so we had to do it one more time. But for our 100-yard freestyle junior varsity, we have Josiah Schaffhausen in lane 1, lane 2, William Lim, lane 3, Brad Simpson, lane 4, Seamus Booz, lane 5, John Becker, and lane 6, Jaden Lapastora. And I should note that only lane 4 is occupied by a Burnsville swimmer for this event, as the rest of the lanes are occupied by the Wildcats. So earlier on, I got to talk with Josiah Schaffhausen a little bit, and he told me that he has the world's most impressive air guitar collection. I got to see it myself. It is very fascinating, quite an extensive collection, and hopefully after the meet we'll hear some tunes played by him truly. And it looks like he takes home the gold for this event, 52.82. That is remarkable. Followed by lane 3 with a 54.24 and lane 2 with a 55.84. But we do have a competition still, lane 4 and lane 6, between Seamus and Jaden as they are closing in for the final 12.5 yards. This brings us to the 100-yard freestyle varsity. This is event number 14, so we're just about 2/3 of the way through the meet at this point. But I promise you that these next few events are going to go quite fast. 1, we have Philip Kojin. Lane 2, Marty Pritchard. Lane 3, Lucas Hanna. Lane 4, Max for Burnsville. Lane 5, Pranav Antivilu. And lane 6, Jackson Sundquist. So we do have 3 swimmers for Burnsville in this one. They're lane 2, lane 4, lane 6, as we established earlier. And we have a good competition here. Lane 3 and lane 5 just ahead, but lane 4 not too far behind. About neck and neck going into that turn, with lane 4 and lane 5 sharing a pair of 30s, with lane 2 trailing by a couple body lengths. This will be a very close competition between lane 4 and lane 5. Definitely a battle of mental strength, as in these sprints, it is definitely a mental game and making sure that you keep up at all times. You cannot relent in these events, as any giving up during this event can cost your team multiple points. As we close into the final few yards, it looks like lane 5 just pulls it out by about a quarter of a body length, seeing that 104.11 compared to Max's 104.90. Lane 2 got 4th place with a 111.45, and then lane 1 and lane 6 finishing it off for us here. The 122.07, and let's see, about a 127.18. So based on that 1-2-5 result for the Eagan Wildcats, that will be a 11-5 split. All right, so no 500 freestyle JV here, so we're going right into the 500 freestyle varsity. So this is the longest event that is available to high school swimming. Club swimming is a little different, so they can do the 1,000 and the 1,650, which I'm thankful I've never had a chance to do, but the 500 is an exciting distance event for the high school boys. Leading us off in lane 1, we have Liam Wiefring. Lane 2, Logan Deneen for Burnsville. Lane 3, Riley McRoberts for the Wildcats. Lane 4, Calvin Choi. And then lane 5, Ethan Schumacher. And then lane 6 for the Burnsville Blaze, Braden Moher. So the 500 freestyle, it is a quite lengthy event, and this one is a different mental game compared to that one we were just talking about for the 100 freestyle. So I had the opportunity to swim this a few times for Chris Morgan, the head coach for the Eagan Wildcats, and it definitely, you have to go in with a good game plan of how you want to do it. Some of our recent swimmers, like Jackson Keller, who was a very good 500 swimmer, he would take it out a little bit slower, but then bring in a negative split, which means going faster in the second half of the swimming or of the race compared to the first one. But everybody has their own approach to this event, and we will see that here as we go into our 125. So earlier I was talking about the younger team that Burnsville was having, and talking to the head coach Ben Hauser, who is an alumni of Burnsville High School. He was happy to come back and coach this team now for a 4th year alongside Chris Schoonewell, and they've really built the team quite a bit. So in the past few years, the team has gone down to about 10 people at its lowest, but in the past few years, they've built up the team a bit more. They only have 3 seniors this year, but are looking to add on more as clubs in the area are starting to feed them a bit more. Excuse me. So they're looking to add depth over the next few years and become a very big contender in the South Suburban Conference. As for the Wildcats, they are at a dramatic 44 swimmers this week, as they were down a little bit last week due to COVID-19 and other sickness that's been passing through the high schools just coming back from winter break, but they seem to be out in full force tonight as their roster is fully stacked and ready to go. And compared to the rest of the conference, a lot of teams are seeing a dip in the numbers, and this just could be the ebb and flow of swimming and diving in the South Suburban Conference and in other places such as Eden Prairie that are only seeing about 20 swimmers this year compared to their larger teams. And they are in they are in a different conference, but it is important to note for some of those contenders like Edina or Minnetonka or Wayzata that some of these teams aren't as big as they used to be, and that's just a general trend that you're seeing across a lot of teams. Eagan luckily is unscathed by that, but anything could change in the next few years. I know when I graduated in 2020 from Eagan High School that we only had 6 seniors on the team. Our team was down to about 26 to 28 swimmers and divers. So to see it surge back up to 44 has been quite great. We're looking back at the race. We're about at the halfway point for those mid-lane swimmers. And you'll see that lane 3 has taken the bull by the horns on this one and is having a very dominant performance going into about the 300 mark, I believe. But lane 4 and lane 5 are certainly battling this one out. Oh, lane 1, excuse me. Yeah. Oh, lane 1 is also down there, excuse me. From my vantage point, I couldn't see that at the moment. But lane 1, lane 4, and lane 5 are all very close to each other. So this will be a quite a battle here. Yeah, so my mistake here, let me correct myself. So it seems like lane 1 is actually out ahead. That is my apologies. So they've already lapped lane 4 and lane 5, but lane 3 is about 25 yards away, and then followed by lane 4 and lane 5. I'm sorry about that, folks. Sometimes counting is a little bit hard out here, but it's been a while since my last math class, but we will persevere just like these swimmers are as we head into the final fourth of this final fourth of this swim. And we do see that final bell ringing over in lane 1, so that means that there's only 1 length left for our swimmer in lane 1, Liam, doing very well. Only a 9th grader, has a no time at the moment, but that's certainly going to be a good number as we close in on the final 25. Now, a time like this will definitely set him up nicely for sections, as it is a very competitive time for JV, especially even in lane 1, ending at a 5:25.25. That is satisfying to see, but definitely pulling his weight there and giving the Wildcats a first place from the outside lane. Lane 3 looks to be the next finisher, getting a nice final sprint there. As much as you can call it a sprint in those final 50 yards when everyone is tired. And you got a 5:50.56 to give Wildcats the first and second. Now the next question is what's going to happen with lane 4 and lane 5. That is still a close race, about a body length away, but as I've said many times before, anything can happen here, as this is a tiring event. This one does tax the body for quite a long time. It is swimming fast for 6 minutes, and we will see. A little burst of energy there from Calvin, but I think it's a little too late, as lane 5 has swept this here for a 1-2-3 finish for the Wildcats. So that's going to be another 13 points for them compared to 3 for the Burnsville Blaze. So my math may not be perfect at this point, as a few events have gone by and they haven't changed the scoreboards, but I believe it's going to be around 73-42 at this moment. Again, this could be off by a little bit, but it looks like we have 1 swimmer left doing the backstroke, which is legal for the 500 freestyle. So in the rules, the freestyle can be performed in any way as long as you are not touching the lane lines or using the ground as a support. So I have seen it before. I know one of my good friends, Preston Werman, back at sections in 2020 had to switch the backstroke after coughing on some water, but it is definitely a method to use to gain some breath back, because I definitely understand that as someone that's swam the 500 many times and even the 1,000 occasionally. But for those that aren't as familiar with the 500 freestyle and swimming it Like, it is shocking to get used to it, and once you get good at it, though, then you start developing a pattern of how to go about it and how to attack it in a way that works right for you. But we're into that final 50 here, it looks like. Yep, looks like it as the counter does turn it over to the red, which means it is the final length, or the final set of lengths, and everybody supporting our swimmer in lane 6. And a good show of sportsmanship from both sides. Braden is finishing off this daunting task of a 500 freestyle. Cheers all around with about an 8:36. It looks like the lane 6 disappeared there for a moment, but I think an 8:36 for lane 6, which is definitely no problem, as that is, it's always exciting to see swimmers swim it either for their first time or see improvements all around. But this brings us to the 200 freestyle relay junior varsity. Now, we will see some friendly competition here, as this is an all Wildcats relay. So I'm going to list them off by lane. So lane 1 is Gavin Yang, Isaac Krebs, Lucas Hanna, and then Aiden Smith. Lane 2 is Liam Edel, Riley McRoberts, Tyler Burby, and Vidan Shrestha. Lane 3 is Derek Bango, Louis Decotois, Miguel San Jose, and Braden Hagenbarth. Lane 4, Josiah Schaffhausen, Liam Wiefering, William Wynn, and Pranav Antivilu. Lane 5, Bergen Rolling, Ian Chong, Nolan Luther, and Brad Simpson. And lane 6 is Stone Larson, Evan Binkley, Kuldeep Raja Batuni, and Mason Detoring. And lane 3 off to an impressive start, not too far behind lane 4. It seems that we have a close one there for this JV. It seems a very strong JV, and this could be because of that what we mentioned earlier about making the matchups more interesting between the two coaches and an agreement all around. I'm definitely happy to see it, though. As long as good sportsmanship and good cooperation happens between the teams, I'm happy to see some good swimming any day. Looks like we're into the final leg here. Lane 3 still having that good performance with about a 1.5 to 2 body lengths ahead of lane 4, but lane 2 making a comeback. We'll see if they have a little bit of extra energy to overpass lane 4 and get that second place. Oh, and I think they're going to do it too. But we also have a battle for lane 1 and lane 5, seeing who's going to get 4th place. However, lane 2 does claim that second place spot with a 142.22. Lane 5 does win that battle between 5 and 1 to get 4th with a 145.56. And closing us out, lane 6 with a 151.41. We are now heading over into the 200 freestyle relay varsity. So this will bring back the Burnsville Blaze into lane 2 and lane 4. And as I mentioned earlier, the point system is going to be a little bit different. So unlike that 6, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0 scoring for individual events, the medley is the 8, 4, and 2. Looks like the officials are conferring for just a moment, making sure everything's all right. But it'll just be a moment before we start up the meet once more. Yeah, so event 18 now. So this one, nothing too special, just 4 50s, fast-paced swimming, but a team effort all around. All right, all the technical difficulties are sorted out, and the officials blow for our swimmers to step on the blocks. And we're off. right, so lane 1 we got Jay, excuse me, Henry Lavole, John Becker, and Ethan Schumacher. Lane 2, for Burnsville, Thomas Pritchard, Arnold Sweet, Jackson Sundquist, and Seamus Booz. Lane 3, Aben Binkley, McGavin Nee, Ethan Jenkins, and Preston Dunn. Lane 4 for Burnsville, Roshan Batam, Marty Pritchard, Max Raka, and then Wyatt Halal. And then lane 5, Kai Duckett, Zachary Browning, Ezra Jarosek, and Jaden Lapastora. And seeing how we're into the second leg already, just with that quick introduction, lane 3 has pulled away already. Very good relay exchange there. Almost getting into disqualification territory, but as long as they finish and there's 1 foot on the board or on the block, that is still a legal relay exchange. Lane 5 not too far behind, but still a distance back, followed by lane 4. And then further back we have lane 2 and lane 1. So in the next couple weeks, we do expect a few more competitions for both the teams. For Eagan, on January 20th, we have True Team State. Because they won the True Team section, they are advancing to True Team States at the University of Minnesota. And then after that, on the 26th, so that's going to be this next week, they're going to be at Valley Middle School against the Apple Valley Eagles. For Burnsville, they are they are going to be taking a little bit of a break, but coming back on the 26th. And facing Eastview. I talked to the head coach, Ben Hauser, a little bit earlier, and they see this as a very good competition. Both teams have relatively a similar size, and this is also a victory that the Eastview had last year, so they're hoping to make that a repeat and get another victory for the Blaze. And then February 2nd, they're going to be facing Farmington at home. So overall, we got a 1-3-4 finish for the Eagan Wildcats with a 150, a 208, and a 208.86. So very close competition there between lane 5 and lane 1. And then our Burnsville Blaze getting a 2nd and 5th finish, securing at least 4 points for that event. So that brings us up to, I believe, 83 to 46. So there is no 100-yard backstroke JV, so we're heading in straight into event 20, which is the boys 100-yard backstroke varsity. Looks like we're waiting on one more swimmer, perhaps. Lane 5. Yes. Isaac Erickson a little bit late, but that's okay. Definitely may get some fun poked at him by his teammates. I've definitely made that mistake before of showing up a little late to my 100 backstroke, but we worked it out in the end, and it's always a good time with teammates afterwards. But the backstrokers do get in the water, and let's see what happens. So lane 1, you have Isaac Krebs. Lane 2, Xander Boyko. Lane 3, Gavin Yang. Lane 4, Oliver Deneen. Lane 5, Isaac Erickson. So this is actually a rather young heat for both teams. So you have 3 freshmen overall and then 2 sophomores in this race. So for varsity, this is already an incredible start. We see lane 4, Oliver pulling ahead here by about a half a body length. A good split, 31.26, followed by lane 3 with a 32.27. Not too far behind. We do have the battle for third between lane 1, lane 2, and lane 5. Lane 6 is absent, but that doesn't matter at this point. For that battle of third is going to be very important for this meet. Lane 4 looks to secure the victory here and bringing a Burnsville Blaze victory to the 100 backstroke. And that'll be 6 points for the Blaze guaranteed with a 103.89 from Oliver. Lane 3 finishing with a 107.05. And then lane 2 clinching out that third place with a 111.59. Followed by lane 5 and lane 1. So that was a very good performance for the Blaze there, getting that first and third. So that's going to get them at 9 points and actually win the event, swinging it slightly back in their favor. So if everything stands correctly, it is 90-55. So the Eagan Wildcats are looking for 94 points to win this competition. That's the point where you cannot beat the other team. You can tie if both teams have 93, but 94 is what they need to win. So this is now the 100-yard breaststroke junior varsity. This is an all Wildcats event. So you have Ezra Jerosuk in lane 1, Derek Bango in lane 3, and then Kai Duckett in lane 5. So 2 of these swimmers, Derek and Kai, do not have times for this, so we'll see what improvements they can make here and then for the rest of the season, with Ezra having a 1:58 seed time. Very fluid breaststroke there from Derek Bango. And these are the names that I accidentally mentioned earlier on, so I once again apologize for that when we were talking about the 100 butterfly. But overall, 30-35 for that split in the breaststroke from Derek. Now we just got the 44-32 from Kai in lane 5, and a 52-09 for that 50 split for Ezra. And some people may think that this is one of the easier events compared to maybe the 100 butterfly and the 100 backstroke, but this argument is as old as time between some swimmers. I know a lot of my friends that were very good in the breaststroke, and if you are able to do this event very fast, it is a hard event to do. Very competitive. I remember at sections that this event is highly contested between a lot of the teams, as long as you have 1 or 2 fantastic breaststrokers. And it looks like Derek Bango hits a 105.33, a very solid performance there. A very good time, setting him up for great success in the 100 breaststroke in the future competitions. And we see that Kai hits a 139.16, and I believe that Ezra, if we get it right here, he's going to break his time of the 158. I'm certainly hoping for it. Almost there. Lovely, 152.80, breaking that record by about 6 seconds for him. Personal best records are always exciting to achieve, regardless of how big or small they are. So now we are into the final stretch of the meet. So 100-yard breaststroke varsity. This is event 22 of 24, and this is going to be a full pool of swimmers. Lane 1, we have Aiden Smith for the Wildcats. For Burnsville in lane 2, Thomas Pritchard. Lane 3, Michael Boone for the Wildcats. Lane 4, Roshan Batham for the Burnsville Blaze. Lane 5, Ethan Jenkins. And then lane 6 for the Burnsville Blaze, 7th grader Jackson Sundquist. Looks like lane 1 is really pulling ahead here. Aiden is doing quite a good job. Had a no time, so this could be one reason why he was seated in the outside lane. But look at between lane 3, 4, and 5. That is a very close competition. That second place really matters a lot for the Wildcats. Getting that, clinching that 94 points, which they're just a few points off right now, is very important for them to secure the victory tonight. Lane 2 and lane 6 falling behind a little bit, but both going strong, making a competition for themselves here with a 57-51 split and about a 59. Didn't seem that it registered on the pad. As for lane 1, they're just finishing up right now with a solid about 113.80. And that will secure the victory for the Wildcats, as that is 6 points, 2 more than I believe they needed to secure the victory. But look at that, Burnsville coming in second, securing 4 points for the team, followed by lane 3 and lane 5. So So overall, this grants the Wildcats a first, a third, and a fourth place. And that'll get us, or that'll get them about 11 points, I believe. I hope my math was right at that point, but we will see. And it looks like we're finally closing the show on the 100 breaststroke as a very competitive race between these two. It looks like the lane 6 pad is having a little bit of problems, but we know for sure that lane 2 got a 2:04.66. Oh. So we're now into the final JV heat of the evening, and this is going to be an all Wildcats event for the 400 freestyle relay. A little confused at this point as lane 3 is not stepping up. They could be waiting for one of their other relay members, because I do recognize some of the swimmers down there for lane 3, but they might not have their full squad yet. There we go. Now we'll get it going. Sorry for the delay, folks. And just like the 200 freestyle relay, this one is very similar. So unlike the 200 freestyle relay where it's 450s, this is now 4 100 legs by your swimmers here. So lane 1 is going to be Jaden Lapastora, Ethan Schumacher, and then Kuldeep Racha Batuni. Lane 3 is going to be Ethan Jenkins, John Becker, Isaac Erickson, and then Kai Duckett. Lane 5 is Ezra Jarosek, Zachary Browning, Henry Lavol, and Philip Kojin. So at this point, as I've mentioned a few times, the Eagan Wildcats have clinched the victory here, so that we're going to enter something called exhibition. So as a show of respect to the other team, and mainly to show good sportsmanship and respect to the other team, the points are going to stop being counted for the Eagan Wildcats, and the points are going to be guaranteed to the Burnsville Blaze. This often goes both ways regarding whatever team is on top, and is a widely used practice between many teams in the South Suburban Conference. But it looks like John Becker off to a really strong start in lane 3, going out very aggressively. I'm hoping that's going to remain for the entire 100 because it looks to be a very good start. Lane 5 got a good dive in, good streamline in their first 25. Now we're in for lane 1. Good dolphin kicks there, and we're all into that second leg. Looks like we're still seeing a very strong performance from John in lane 3, as he is definitely putting all his energy into this final length right here. Entering the third leg, we have, Isaac Erickson taking the helm for lane 3 and the Wildcats. Just a little bit behind by about a 25. We have Zachary just finishing up his event, or finishing up his 100 before Henry's entering the water. And lane 1, Jay is just finishing up, has about a 25 left. But it's fairly clear at this point we have lane 3 securing that victory for the Wildcats in this JV event. So in other matters, though, the standings of the South Suburban Conference are definitely heating up, despite how cold it is outside. I know for the Eagan Wildcats, they are looking to try to tie for the conference title this year, as they did lose to Lakeville South earlier in the season by a couple points. But there is a scenario where it does work out for them. If Prior Lake is able to beat Lakeville South, and the Eagan Wildcats are able to beat Prior Lake, then all 3 of the teams will share that trophy for first place. it definitely isn't ideal, as any team rightfully wants to have it to themselves, but it is fun to still win regardless of the situation. As for the Burnsville Blaze, I talked about a little bit earlier, the Eastview is one of their prime targets for a victory, but they also are looking to Apple Valley to be another good source of competition for the season, as they are also around the same depth as Burnsville. So both teams being rather equal in size definitely makes it a very closely contested match. And excuse me if I'm wrong, but it looks like we're in the final 25 for lane 3 as they secure that win. Yep, the timers are moving up to clock in that time. And it looks like it'll be just below 4:30, which is a good start for a JV squad at around 4:26.69. Still a little bit behind is lane 5, and just behind them is lane 1. But still, it is always, even if it is the fastest race, it's still always crucial for development to get in these races and just go all out if you can. Lane 5 finishes off there at about 5 minutes 41. Just over the 5-minute mark. Hey, but that's okay. We'll always have other meets that they can compete as a squad again and hopefully break that 5-minute mark. And lane 1 closes out that JV heat with a 5:12.67. Pull deep, really bring in the heat for in that outside lane. And now this brings us to our final event of the evening. It has gone by so quickly, but all good things must come to an end as we bring in the final heat of swimming for tonight. Oh, and lane 4 enters the water. And off we go into that final event. So lane 1, we have Nolan Luther, Bergen Rolling, McGavin Nee, and Preston Dunn. Lane 2 for Burnsville, we have Marty Pritchard, Xander Boyko, Wyatt Howell, and then Roshan Bafem. Lane 3, Louis Decatoire, Aiden Smith, Tyler Burby, and Vidon Shrestha. Lane 4, Logan Deneen, Oliver Deneen, Max Rocker, and then Calvin Chuoy. Lane 5, Riley McRoberts, Ian Chong, Liam Adel, and then Gavin Yang. And then lane 6, Braden Moyer, Charles Burns, Arnold Sweet, and Thomas Pritchard. Now we see a lot of the members of both teams congregating at the other side. As this is the last event, this is where you want to be the most excited for your team, as this is quite a team effort, about 12 swimmers for each team fighting for that first, second, and third spot. But it looks like lane 3 has the first team to get to that second leg, followed by lane 5 and lane 1, with lane 4 not too far behind. All right, lane 2. Lane 2, we have Xander Boyko just hopping in right now, and lane 6 following suit with Charles Burns, the 7th grader. Lane 3 really pulling ahead of lane 5 right now, as they're closing in on the final length of the second leg. So that will most likely, unless any sudden things happen, secure a first place spot for the Wildcats, but anything can happen again. Very close relay exchange there at lane 3, but a very fast exchange. Lane 1 heading in, followed by lane 5, and lane 4 following suit. Only a couple body lengths behind, so they could catch up here in this third leg. Now lane 2 diving in for their third leg. That is a tradition right there. Go Big Blue. That is a chant that the Eagan Wildcats do at near the end of the 400 freestyle relay to pump up their swimmers in lane 3, 5, and 1 as a final rally cry almost to secure that victory. And it seems to be doing pretty well for Vidon as he is charging out quite well for that first 50. Lane 4 making their final exchange here, so only 100 to go for them. About a 75 left for lane 5. Now at this point, a lot of the swimmers are going to be very tired. Most of them have swam 3 other events at this point, some of them closer to each other, some of them spread out through the entire meet. But this is where you give all your energy, regardless of the situation, because you might be competing against a teammate, you might be competing against an opponent, but overall, you want to win and get your personal best. And it looks like Vidon does finish it off well for the Wildcats with a 3:44.56. So they will win this race with the first place, followed by lane 5 with a 3:58.92, just getting under that 4-minute mark. Can't say the same about lane 1 though. Got that 4:01.72, but very good performance, which gives them a 1-2-3 finish for Eagan. Lane 4 just finishing now with a 4:13.53, which looks to not be their best race ever, but is always room for improvement, and there's many meets ahead as we're only about halfway through the season. And lane 6 making that final exchange, so 100 to go for them. Off to a rockin' start with Thomas Pritchard. Lane 2 just finishing up though with a 4:52.13. Solid performance from them. Looks like they just broke their personal best as a relay squad by about 2 seconds, so props to the Blaze on that one. And good effort from lane 6, keeping that flutter kick alive. The legs carry any event in swimming. And some swimmers may not use it at first when learning how to swim, but if you know how to use your legs and your arms at the same time for this, it is huge. It'll make you go so much faster. You can really see that here with Thomas Pritchard. And as a freshman too, I can only imagine what the next 3 years are going to look like with the Pritchard brothers taking the lead of the team. And everyone cheering now, both in the stands and on the pool deck, as we close into the final 25 of this swim meet. I love the composure that Thomas is having here, not breathing every single stroke. That is something that's very important in the final 100, as you are gassed. You are tired, but he is pushing on and securing a 6:11.20 for the Burnsville Blaze in lane 6. But with that, that is the entire meet. It's been a pleasure talking to you all throughout the last 2 hours. And the total points are going to be given in a moment. But in the meantime, thank you so much for joining me here on ETV. And I hope you all have a wonderful night. Thank you.